kidding here, John. Come on.
Yeah, I don't know what I don't know why you blame Janky Rondo either.
Good stuff, Gary. Thank you, brother. Appreciate you doing it today. All right, Johnny Mac, we're going to get into the Philadelphia Eagles with the draft coming up, some of the top 30 visits that they've had. I'm going to pull up the visit tracker. I don't know how many visits they're up to now at this point, Johnny Mac. I know they brought in the Penn State guard. I think you mentioned that they did yesterday.
Yeah, I don't know if that happened yet. He's coming in. He was at Penn State. In fact, I know it hasn't happened. The only one I know that's happened is Cooper, Omar
Cooper, right? Yeah. Okay.
They just started them. And Penn State had its pro day yesterday. So that's where, Vega informed everyone there that he was going to have a 30 visit. By the way, that's my pet peeve. Not top 30, 30.
For all you say top 30, everybody thinks that they're the best 30 prospects on the board or whatever.
Exactly. There's a lot of people that bring in. Now, the Eagles don't usually bring in a lot of day 3 prospects. They'll bring in a hand, maybe a couple, but there's a lot of teams that, bring in like more, day 2, day 3 prospects that they're focusing on. So it's not top 30, but you get 30 visits. And, the Penn State edge rushers coming in as well. Dennis-Sutton, I believe his name is. He's coming in. So this all came out because of Penn State's pro day.
Right.
And then also I mentioned Jalen Kilgore, who South Carolina safety.
Right, DB, right.
Yeah. Ryan Fowler, who is plugged in at the college level, confirmed that he's coming to the Eagles for a 30 visit. So to me, that's the only 4 I know of so far. And the only one that's actually had a visit, he was in on yesterday, as a matter of fact, was Omar Cooper, the Indiana receiver. But Vega, the big Penn State offensive lineman, who will probably the Eagles will draft because they'll have to learn how to spell his first name. Everybody calls him Vega. He's coming in, Dennis-Sutton, and that's a guy to keep an eye on because they're going to need an edge rusher. Now, he's more of a day 2-ish guy, I would think. But, he's a possibility. And Kilgore's a possibility day 2 as well because they need a safety. So those are two interesting names, but those are the only 4 I'm aware of to this point. And it's just, obviously, they've just started yesterday, so still early.
Fair enough. Good stuff there. John, where do you think they end up drafting a safety? I'm kind of torn on it too, because you brought up, they used already a premium pick last year with Andrew McCuba. It's not really in the card. I don't think it's in the cards in round 1. I do like that Dylan Donovan kid too. I'm with you on that. Where do you think they end up taking a safety in this year's NFL draft?
Yeah, well, the problem is, they have to take one. Even if you bring back Marcus Epps, you have to take one. So, and the only way you're going to get one that can play right away is taking them on day 2. And you want to repopulate the offense. So, again, the trade market is something we don't talk about because it's hard to talk about the trade market. And you just saw it yesterday with Andy Dalton. Nobody saw that coming. Maybe the Eagles trade for a safety, but there doesn't look like much help on the free agent market, but they need a safety. And if they don't trade for one, they got to go get one in the draft. And then if you start talking about, well, now they need an edge rusher and say they got to use a day 2 pick on Dennis-Sutton. Well, then how are you repopulating? You're taking a safety and an edge rusher, and you're back repopulating the defense and taking all defensive players. Now, you probably take an offensive guy at 23, but still, So there's more work to be done before the draft by Howie Roseman. No question about it.
We will see what he ends up doing with that. The other name, John. So not many names yet. Then, all right, we're still pretty low. You named the four, obviously, two of them from Penn State, Omar Cooper, and then Jalen Kilgore. So not many names yet there for the Philadelphia Eagles, but we will see who they end up bringing in for the top 30 visits, and they are relevant, as you point out yesterday, John, on the show. That they could be names that maybe aren't drafted here, but could end up on the Eagles a couple years down the line after they're done the rookie contract somewhere else.
Yeah, Eagles always go back to them. So due diligence, and that's part of it as well. Because there's certain guys, you're not going to be able to get because Omar Cooper's probably in that category because you're probably not going to take him at 23 and he's going to be gone by your second round pick. So he's probably going to be in no man's land. But who knows what happens down the road. So that's my new. It's never going to work, I know, but I'm going to try. But just like legal negotiating period, 30 visit, a top 30 visit, 30 visit. I'm going to try. It's not going to work.
Sooner or later, you'll have me calling it that, John. No doubt about it. John, any names that are like Eagle names that maybe haven't been reported, but names that you look at and you're like, oh, the Eagles are probably going to end up bringing him in. Anybody like that for you this year?
Well, remember when I say that's an Eaglesy pick, it's changing a little bit, especially on the offense. It was easy to point out offensive line guys because I knew Stoutland so well in his critical factors. Like I said early in this process before they moved on, like Caden Proctor's a Stoutland guy. No doubt in my mind. Now I'm sort of just projecting with Blake Miller and Monroe Freeling. However, when you talk about 30 visits, sometimes you don't bring in guys you're interested in to sort of, if you really like somebody and you've done all your homework and you've locked them in on your board, you don't want an alert around the league that, oh, the Eagles are interested in Blake Miller. I'll use Blake Miller because DeCecco brought him up as well. You don't want to alert the rest of the league that you're that high on the kid, so maybe you don't bring him in. Sometimes a lot of people don't talk about. Sometimes you bring in kids to talk about other kids. So you might bring in, and I'm just making it up because it's the two Penn State guys, but you might bring in Dennis-Sutton to talk about Vega and try to get more information on Vega from him. So there's a lot of layers to it. And one thing I always bring up with Darius Geis, sometimes these visits don't go well. The presumption is they always go well. Oh, they brought him in. They must like him. Sometimes you bring somebody in and you rule them out because it didn't go well for whatever reason. So I think when you look at it logically, like people just say, oh, they're interested in Dennis-Sutton because they bring in Dennis-Sutton. Well, maybe they didn't like Dennis-Sutton when they brought him in. I don't want to pick on him, but that could happen and has happened in the past. So it's not as cut and dry as people often make it out to be.
Fair enough. Good point there, Johnny Mac. Appreciate everybody being here today. Don't forget to hit that like button. We got about 28 minutes left on the show today. We had Andrew DeCecco in hour number 1, who was excellent. Always good to talk to Andrew DeCecco. We appreciate him joining the program today as we get a little closer to the NFL draft. John, can you believe 30-something days to the NFL draft, man? What is it, April 23rd? Is that when it is this year?
I believe so. Yeah.
I better look. I own April 23rd. All right, that's not bad. April 23rd to April 25th. There you go. That's the NFL draft, and that's not that many days away, John. How many days until April 23? 35 days, Johnny Mac. 35 days from the NFL draft.
A lot of work to do in between then and the draft. A lot of work.
Yeah. they'll have all the 30 visits or get most of them done by that point, obviously. And then we'll see who the Eagles end up taking in the NFL draft. John, they're up to 9 picks in the NFL draft, so they have quite a bit of capital or quite a bit of moves to make. What do they have, John? 4 in the top 100? Is that what it is?
Yeah, they have, and they got the extra 6th-round pick for Isaiah Rodgers. So coming in, everybody thought they wouldn't have a 6th-round pick or a 7th-round pick, and they got an extra comp pick because all those projection sites do a good job, but you don't have the exact contract details because it's all based on. There's only 32 of them, and it's all based on for players. Sometimes there's compensatory picks for losing executives with the Rooney Rule, but so it's tough to project, and they do a good job. But they got that one wrong, and it benefited the Eagles. They got an extra 6th-round pick, not an extra. They're only 6th-round pick because they didn't have one coming in. But yeah, the top 3 days, the top 2 days, so the premium picks, 23, 54, 68, 98 is what they are on day 1 and day 2. And then they have 122, 137 in the 4th round, 153, 178 in the 5th round, and 215 in the 6th round. That's their picks.
There you go. Good picks for the Eagles. They got a bunch of them. We'll see what they end up doing with them for the Philadelphia Eagles moving into the NFL draft. All right, John, what's the biggest hole right now